We were the first distillery pub in DC, and prior to us getting open, you weren't really legally allowed to have a distillery pub. We had to get the laws changed. To actually have a restaurant and bar attached, it wasn't legal to do that. And so, being the first ones coming in, we were sort of an unknown quantity. Local government didn't really know what to do with us, and so getting inspections on things, it was kind of a nightmare. Yeah, for better or worse, I guess.
All right, and Brocky here, Whiskey and Kicks, the big episode 10, and I'm at District Distilling with Matt Strickland, the head distiller at District Distilling. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, man. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. We finally got this thing going, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Good.
So, tell the people a little bit about yourself, man, as far as like your background in the industry.
My background in the industry is a little circuitous, but I started out actually with wine a long time ago. Yeah, okay. Started out with wine. I was doing research for the wine industry. I got my master's in wine fermentation.
Oh, nice.
Essentially, yeah. I was out in Oregon doing that for a couple of years, and spent a few months working for a brewery in Southern California, kind of getting my feet wet in the brewing industry, often literally.
Right.
I didn't really like working in Southern California though, so started looking around and realized that wanted to be back home in Nashville. My wife and I decided that was probably the best place to be, and so called around, and all of a sudden I started working. I got offered a job working for a company called Corsair out of Nashville, and kind of took over head of research and development for them for a number of years. Did a bunch of stuff with them, and eventually I was offered a job to kind of get this place up and going, and so.
So were you already in the DC area when you got offered this job?
No.
Okay, so
they offered me the job, and so I put my notice in with Corsair, and I had the opportunity to basically kind of write my own program essentially. So
how long have you been here at District?
I've been on this project for probably about 2.5 years, a little over that, but we've been open for about we're coming up on 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 years. In August, it'll be 2 years. So.
Right, because the distillery, you get the barrels going first.
Yeah, we had, and it was just the way it worked here was that we couldn't actually start distilling until basically a week before we opened.
It
was kind of, we were the first distillery pub in DC, and prior to us getting open, you weren't really legally allowed to have a distillery pub. We had to get the laws changed.
Oh, wow. Really?
So to actually have a restaurant and bar attached, it wasn't legal to do that. And so, being the first ones coming in, we were sort of an unknown quantity. And the local government didn't really know what to do with us. The laws just went into effect, and nobody really knew how to interpret them. And so, getting inspections on things, it was kind of a nightmare.
You got to kind of revolutionize the game a little bit.
Yeah, for better or worse, I guess. So, hopefully we didn't make it too hard for anybody. But they didn't really know what to do with us. And so it took forever to get inspections done. And finally, by the time we got all that stuff done, we were like, man, we got to get this place open. So we got it open, and we didn't even have our own spirits on the shelves for probably about, I'd say about a month. I had 1 month to get 4 products on the shelves. So, So,
what were those?
So we started out with a blended whiskey, our backroom bourbon. We have our white rum, Buzzard Point, Checker Bark Gin, which is sort of our London dry style gin, and our vodka, Corridor vodka. Because we're a young distillery, the whiskeys that we have on shelves right now are essentially blends, which is a little bit of a departure from what you commonly see. Distilleries get open, they want to have an aged product on the shelves, so they'll often source whiskey from a single distillery, and they'll go so far as to cask finish it or something like that. But a lot of times it's just a single distillery, maybe a couple barrels of one product, and then they'll dump those barrels, bottle it, and that's it.
Right.
I didn't really find that to be that compelling of a project to work on, so but the owners wanted to have something aged on the shelves, and rightfully so. So I said, well, if we're going to do this, then what we need to do is we need to look at blending distillates, blending whiskeys from different distilleries, and coming up with something unique. And so that's how I approached the blending portion of it. We purchase barrels from all over the country. Try to come up with unique blends every single time, and
dope.
yeah. So our C&O whiskey blend here, that's actually one of them. That actually just took a gold medal at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition a few weeks ago. So that's how we approach the blending side of things. And then for our in-house distilled whiskeys that we might see trickle out a little bit this year, I tend to take a kind of a different approach where I do multiple mash bills for each type of whiskey and blend those together.
Oh, okay.
So every type of whiskey, whether it's a rye whiskey or a wheat whiskey or a bourbon, whatever it is, has multiple mash bills to it that get mashed, fermented, distilled separately, and aged separately. And then when we get ready to bottle those will get blended together in the right amounts, and
they put out a great product.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the plan, right?
I'm pretty sure, man. I rock with this place. You guys put out some really good stuff.
Oh, thank you.
I'm looking forward to that. Maybe later this year.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, we'll see.
So you guys, you kind of mentioned the first. I just want to state it. DC's first distillery, bar, and kitchen.
Yeah. We're not the only one now.
Right.
But yeah, we were the first one out. So
right. So people can come in, get a tour of the distillery. You can go to the bar and drink, and you can sit down and dine and have food, as they will see in the later portion.
Yeah. No, we have a pretty fantastic kitchen staff, man. They, our executive chef Justin Bittner, he's been in the DC food scene for going on close to 20 years now, I think, and he's made quite a name for himself.
So distribution, how far out are you guys at this point?
It's kind of random right now. Well, I don't want to say random, but we are throughout, especially like high-end boutique shops in DC and Maryland. I think we're in Delaware starting this month, maybe.
Okay.
But one of the owners is based in Texas, so we sell our gins in Texas, and then because they were interested in having gin in the UK, we're actually in London as well.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
That's
we sell a small amount to London, but it's usually 80 to 100 cases at a time, and
those guys don't have any distilleries out there?
No, in London, they've got tons of gin distilleries, but gin is massive there. So
okay, they just wanted it.
yeah, well, American gin is sort of it's an interesting idea for them, and because we do things a little bit differently than the Brits. So
right.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you guys are here on U Street. I mean, on the U Street corridor, in the middle of everything. Which is pretty unorthodox for a lot of the distilleries in the area or any other distillery.
Yeah.
Was there something behind that?
Yeah, it was the idea that we wanted to see all the other distilleries. Most of them are in Northeast DC, up in Ivy City, and and it's a nice place, but it's a little bit difficult to get to, and it's getting nicer all the time. It wasn't it wasn't the nicest area for a while, but but it's definitely, there's a lot of stuff that's popping up out there. The owners wanted to have something that was a little more centralized, that people could just kind of walk to and stumble into, and or really stumble upon. Stumble out of sometimes. So we wanted to kind of be in the center of the action, and the U Street corridor has this fantastic heritage to it.
Sure.
The community is really vibrant. There's all this jazz culture. I mean, so I think that was a pretty fascinating aspect to having this spot.
Yeah.
So
that's dope. So this is maybe what, 3 row homes here?
Yeah, so we have the bottom 3 row houses and the top 5. So we're right next to DC Noodles, and we're actually our upstairs restaurant actually goes above DC Noodles.
Okay, so, all right, that's it's really nice to hear, man. People can get a really good experience, and the booze is amazing. So you guys have a program, and I'm looking at these barrels in the back where people can kind of make their own bottles of.
You could come in and bottle straight from the barrel. It was something I was in Scotland last year for vacation with the family, and we were on Isla, and my wife was like, oh, let's go to Brook Lottie and see what they're doing, and so we go into Brook Lottie, and they're letting people bottle stuff straight out of the barrel. I was like, that's a really cool idea. So we kind of co-opted that and said that'd be really fun to do back home in the States, and so we came back and kind of pitched the idea, and yeah, the owners really liked it, and yeah, it's been a fun experience for people. So I just selected a couple of barrels that I thought would be really nice, and it's not, we don't filter anything, we don't dilute it down. It's straight out of the barrel. So yeah, they are fun.
So what do you think? What's one thing about the distilling experience or industry that maybe a misconception that people have from the outside looking in?
I think one of the misconceptions I always get is that I sit around drinking all day.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get to drink that much. You don't get to do my job and be drunk. That's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's funny because people come in, they ask if what kind of beer we make. I think there's this conception that we're sometimes a brewery.
Right, okay.
And I'm like, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then we have a joke because whiskey is basically, it's just beer that's been distilled, right? And so we have a couple of jokes in the industry, but one of them, a friend of mine was telling me earlier this week. He said, you know what we call brewers? Quitters. They stopped short of making good whiskey. So
that's a good one.
yeah,
Good.
and people I've worked for, in the past, we've always said that beer is just whiskey that hasn't matured yet.
There you go.
Yeah, it is a very collegiate atmosphere in DC that was really refreshing when I came here. I'm friends with a lot of the other distilleries in town. We don't really, we see each other as competitors, but in a really friendly way. We actually, quite a few of us got together and did a collaborative gin for basically Malaria No More charity last year. All those bottles, essentially, I think we have like one bottle left. Yeah, I think that's the last one. So yeah. So
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
So anything you want to tell the people, or tell them where to come if they want to have a drink?
Right. So we're at 1414 U Street. We're right next to DC Noodles, across from the Reeves Center. Come down. We open up at 4 o'clock on the weekdays and 11 o'clock for brunch on the weekends. So, yeah, come down and you can take a tour. You can kind of walk around the distillery and have a tasting. And we've got 10 products on the shelves. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going. So
good deal. We're gonna taste some.
Yeah.
We're gonna taste a couple things in a few minutes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So, what are we tasting here, man?
All right. So we got a couple things I'm going to try you on. First, let's start off with a little rum.
All right.
We are actually DC's first rum distillery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. This is arguably the first rum to be produced in the region in almost 200 years. Yeah, so this is a white rum. This is actually based off of panela, which is a sugar that comes out of South America, and we bring it up. And it's sort of in the brown sugar family, but brown sugar is typically purified, crystallized white sugar that's had molasses sprayed back onto it for color and flavor and all that. Panela, actually, what they do is they heat it up and they caramelize it a little bit, so the flavors are completely different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, give that a try. Now, we do have an aged version of that that'll be coming out sometime this year.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But
buddy, that is delicious.
yeah, 92 proof, perfect for cocktails too.
Because usually in a rum you get an 80 proof.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're
proof.
Bacardi too.
Yeah, right.
And not to pick on Bacardi, but a lot of rums these days are distilled to have very little character to them, and we wanted something that actually had a lot of flavor to it.
This has a lot of
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
This
It's a little tropical, a little grassy. There's some really nice fruit character to it, but yeah, and we ferment it with actually a Scotch whiskey yeast, so it's
nice.
it's a little bizarre.
Well, with rum, you kind of like, it's not like a bourbon where the bourbon industry is really
very
it's
rigid
this.
and
With rum, you can do a lot of things.
Rum is made in so many countries,
Yeah.
and every country has their own rules about it. We actually don't have many rules in the States. All it just has to be made from is sugar cane.
Sugar cane.
That's it. So whether that's molasses or straight table sugar or panela, it can all be called rum.
I like this, man. This is
Yeah,
really good.
thank you. This
like
is
the
one of my
label.
favorite things that we do.
The label really represents DC.
Yeah.
Good time to start with.
Yeah, and it's Buzzard Point. It's the point where the Anacostia and the Potomac rivers meet.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
I've been here since '94.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have only been here a few years, and I was like, "What the hell is Buzzard Point?" And so somebody had to explain that to me. And then somebody pointed out they were like, "It's actually a kind of a rough part of town, but it's getting nicer." So I'm like, "Whatever." Yeah. So.
All right, I appreciate that, man. I love rum, man.
Yeah.
That was my first passion.
Rum's a funny thing. It's a funny proposition for people. So, but more and more people are getting interested in it, and so.
Yeah, it's been kind of on a cusp of this rum renaissance. It just hadn't quite taken
Oh
off
yeah!
yet.
Every year, the rum guys, we all get together and we have a meeting and we say, "This is our year," and then it's never our year. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah.
Besides, like Paladar. And other places. But besides the Latin rum bars, which I love, I'm waiting for someone to open up a rum.
We're seeing more interest in the category for sure, and it's a very exciting time for it. But one of these days, patience. It's gonna happen, right? Next, so we'll get into gin, and I make a fair amount of gin. I make 3 different gins here, but this is sort of a house favorite. This is Wild June. And so our gins are kind of unique for a couple reasons. One, gin is typically, you can kind of think of it as a flavored vodka. You start with vodka and then you layer it with, you distill it with juniper berries and coriander and whatever other botanicals you want to throw in, right?
Which makes it better than vodka.
Exactly, right? Now, I also make a vodka though. So, and that's the thing is we're one of the few distilleries that makes our vodka from scratch.
Oh, okay.
So we bring in the grain, we mash it, we ferment it, we distill it all from scratch. Commonly what most people do when they make gin or when they make vodka is that they bring in what's called grain neutral spirit, which is basically just a really neutral spirit that's been distilled in the grain belt at some large industrial facility in Indiana or what have you. And then maybe they redistill it to say that they did something. This is how a certain Austin, Texas vodka brand who claims to be handmade has gotten in trouble recently.
Oh.
So, yeah. In any case, and then the other thing that makes this different is that some of the juniper berries are actually hand foraged in Texas, where one of our owners lives.
Okay, I heard about that.
So with this particular gin, we actually use red berry juniper in addition to the common juniper that we import from Italy, and there's a bunch of other things in here. We've got Ceylon cinnamon, we've got white pepper, lemon balm, orange peel, lemon peel, hops in there. There's all kinds of stuff. So it's a really intense gin. And this just took a gold medal at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No, thank you.
I'm going to drink it now.
Yeah. I won't stop you.
I mean, oh, man, so good, dude.
Yeah. 90 proof, so 45% ABV.
You can drink this gin straight. You don't need
this is a gin that's designed for drinking neat, though it actually goes really well in a lot of cocktails. So for sure.
I have a bottle at home, and I love it to death.
Nice, thank you.
Great gin. I suggest to everyone watching this to come to District and get some Wild June gin. I'm not just saying that because it has.
I appreciate that.
But I'm telling you, I go crazy about this stuff. It's great.
Thank you.
Great gin.
Thank you. Keep buying it. I'll keep making it.
I certainly shall.
All right. So next thing I'm pouring for you. This is one of our whiskey blends. This is actually made up of 4 different whiskeys. This also just won a gold medal at San Francisco. But this is a blend of whiskeys that I finished in barrels that used to have porter beer in them. So, yeah. So for your fans that maybe don't drink a lot of beer, I drink probably more whiskey than I do beer. But porter's it's a darker style of beer, usually dark brown to black. Tends to have a lot of like roasty, coffee notes to them. And the idea was to put this blend in a couple different barrel types. We have some apple brandy and French rum barrels as well that we haven't released yet. But this was the first release of this series, and it did actually pick up some really nice sort of coffee notes and some chocolate notes in there as well.
Which is amazing because I dislike coffee.
Yeah.
But I also own C&O.
It's about
and
subtlety,
this is a
really.
Great blended whiskey.
Yeah, it's about subtlety and nuance, and and we ended up, we see a lot of people that say like, oh, well, we cast finished this, and then, basically they threw it into the barrel for maybe 2 months, which really doesn't do anything. Right. We did at least 8 months on this, and actually a lot of our cast projects go well over a year in the finishing barrels.
I didn't know that. Like, I have this, but usually when I see port, I think wine.
Yeah.
But it's porter. It's beer. Okay.
Yep.
Man, I didn't know that.
It was a really popular style of beer back in the late 1700s. Actually, George Washington, it was his favorite style of beer, was porter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. You want to take a sip of this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one of the stronger things that we do.
It's a great blend.
Yeah. 48.9% ABV. Yeah, it's a big whiskey, but it stands on its own. It also makes one hell of an old fashioned. So.
I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, you got to put it in old fashioned.
Ooh,
Yep.
I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yep,
I hadn't thought about using a blended whiskey in the old fashioned.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, at least half of that blend is 5 to 10-year-old bourbon.
Okay, nice.
So it works really well.
Mm-hmm. Good deal, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic, dude. I love this stuff too.
All right, we got something kind of fun for you. It's just I don't like to pour this too early in a tasting because it's, well, you'll taste nothing else. But
Okay.
we made a creme de menthe, and creme de menthe is an old style of liqueur that's sort of making a comeback. There's not too many on the market. And the ones that usually you see on shelves are bright green in color and, made with synthetic flavors and all kinds of joke. But about this time last year, our executive chef took a bunch of other chefs up to his parents' farm in Pennsylvania, and they own a fairly large farm up there. And people were kind of walking around, and somebody pointed out to the chef. He said, well, what's all this stuff just kind of randomly growing on the ground? He said, oh, that's mountain mint. It's just wild mint that's growing out there. And so I come into work the next day, and there's literally a trash bag of mint sitting on my desk. And I asked him, I said, what's all this? He said, oh, we thought you would want to do something with it. So I said, well, let's make a creme de menthe. And so we used mountain mint from his parents' farm, and then we used a little bit of what they call chocolate mint out of Northern Virginia, which is sort of a brown colored mint, and it actually does have a little bit of a chocolate note to it. And then we back sweetened it with a little bit of honey from Stoner Apiary Farms up in Pennsylvania.
Listen, I know you guys don't use the tag. I know it's really popular these days. Farm to table.
Yeah,
you guys are as close as
that we try to be. We try to be. Yeah.
You guys are gonna turn that corner eventually.
Yeah, we try to be. Now, I don't know. We're kind of shy about a lot of stuff. We probably should be more upfront about it, but
throw it out there, man.
Yeah. We don't talk about it as much as we should.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That took a silver at San Francisco this year. So we were pretty pleased with that. That's the first liqueur I've ever done. So yeah.
Whoa, that is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bright, really minty, and then you get actually a little whiff of the honey as well, and then it's made with our vodka as the base.
Well, I get the honey.
Yeah.
I get the honey. So, this is delicious. Dude, I've never had this one.
Yeah.
I hadn't had the rum, and I hadn't had this. So, me, when I'm cooking, I'll just pour maybe some bourbon cream.
Yeah.
Drink it just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
While I'm cooking. I would do that with this. Yeah. For sure. But what else would someone do with something like this?
So this goes into a lot of classic cocktails.
Oh.
The Stinger is one of them, which is Roughly 2 ounces of cognac and 1 ounce of creme de menthe, and it's an odd cocktail. But and then it sort of found its way into a bunch of like odd '80s cocktails, like the Grasshopper, and you know. So, but it's kind of fun, and we do a couple riffs on it upstairs, sort of an old-fashioned riff with it. I think I came up with a layered shot for Derby Day next week that I think we'll be serving upstairs as well, which is it's basically a layer of creme de menthe on the bottom of the glass and then a layer of bourbon on top of it. So it's my deconstruction of a mint julep. So.
That's cool. Okay, that's pretty creative.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
This how long have you been making this?
This is just sort of a one-off kind of thing, but
really?
we're getting close to being sold out of it, and if we see the demand for it, yeah, maybe we'll make it again this year. So, yeah.
I appreciate this, man. This
no worries.
I learned some new things about stuff that I already had before, and this white rum, I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of white rum. This is good.
It's a very different, it's a different thing. It doesn't taste like Bacardi. If you go into white rum expecting it to taste like Bacardi, then you will be surprised. But that's the thing. Bacardi, not to knock them, doesn't have a lot of flavor to it, and you know, this guy, it's chock full of it. So
that's some good stuff, man. That creme de menthe, man. Ooh,
thank you.
You
see why?
You saved it last. I get that.
Save it till
I
last.
understand because it's still doing things in my throat.
Yep.
But man, it's been a great time, and we're gonna get a little tour.
Yeah, we'll show you around.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man.
All right, so Brocky here again, Whiskey and Kicks. We're doing something special this episode. I'm here with my food blogger friend T-Mac.
Hi, you guys.
She's on camera with us, man. We're doing this thing, so she's gonna take some of this food at District Distilling, and we're gonna talk a little bit about her blog and what she's been into lately, and let all the people know. You ready for that?
I'm ready.
So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hey, you guys. My name is T-Mac. My blog name is Fat Girl in Motion. Not a fat girl by any means, but we all have an inner fatness that we love to enjoy. My motto is the best way to a fat girl's heart is through her tummy. So here we are enjoying these, soon to enjoy these fabulous dishes that are in front of us today. They smell very good.
For sure. So your love affair with food, when did it start? You can pinpoint a time.
Oh my gosh. Maybe like post-college or in my college time. I grew up, eating home-cooked meals every day, so eating out was always a bonus. Definitely like McDonald's was a bonus coming up as a kid. So, I grew up eating comfort food every day. However, the only way that I'm going to know if something tastes good outside of what I know is if I try it. So, just started to try different things, and I have other adventurous foodies that I dine with who has introduced me to things which has expanded my palate, and just trying to learn more as I can.
So how do people what do? You go out and take stuff and then you write about it, correct?
Right. So I just pretty much, if I have something that is of interest to me, or, social media pretty much tells a story. I believe that the food is always inviting with your eyes first before you taste it. So if you can present me with a good picture, then I'm sold. Then if you can tell me it tastes good, then I'm definitely sold too. I mean, we always have, or each person has, different palates or different tastings of what they like. And, you may like the deviled eggs that are here and I may not. It's just a matter of, taste and preference. But I just pretty much, I go out to restaurants and I don't let them know who I am.
For sure.
And I just eat.
You don't want them doing extra special stuff in the kitchen.
No,
because they know food bloggers out in the dining room.
They are expecting greatness if I let them know who I am. But, I don't want to see any flaws. However, I just want to be as honest and authentic as possible.
So you got a lot of stuff going on right here. It's looking really good. I think
Smells amazing.
I'm going to let you eat the majority of it. Maybe not on camera, but I might have a bite here and there.
All righty.
All right, let's dig in.
What we got. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. So what are you going to try first?
Let's try the deviled eggs first.
You know I have my deviled eggs. I said from the beginning, I'm eating something. I'm watching my diet right now, people.
The deviled eggs
look better
first.
on camera for y'all. This deviled eggs is calling my names.
Our deviled eggs, It's traditional devil egg, but we add a little sweet and sour zucchini relish on top. And that is my wife's aunt in Talladega, Alabama. They have a farm and they sort of produce all their own food and everything. And so, you have an overabundance of these vegetables, so of course you have to preserve and pickle and freeze and things like that. And so she taught us how to make this sweet and sour zucchini relish. And so that's just sort of a nod to a family member.
Shout out to
I
Justin.
love that. I love that mustard. It's very good. Very good.
That is delicious.
Okay, so what next?
Oh, you moving on already?
What?
All right, I'm gonna move this over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's do the toast.
The trout toast.
It's so beautiful. Like I don't want to
Break it apart and stuff.
no. I don't. But it's
All right, so here in front of us is our trout toast. And what it is it's a smoked trout rillette that we put on toast with some little grabiche sauce. And then it's garnished with trout roe and radishes and herbs and things like that. And what it represents to me on the menu is part of, life is traveling. And me and my wife last year were in Copenhagen, and we wound up in this big sort of market area, and one of the stalls had these things called s'mores broads, which I'd never had before. And it turns out it's just like a piece of black toast, buttered, and then random toppings. I mean, some had roast beef on them, some had fried fish, some had raw fish, and so we ate through a bunch of those. And when I came back, I just sort of got on the menu because we really enjoyed it, so we designed our own.
like it goes together. The flavors, not too salty. Great balance. And this is what I need to be open towards because, like I said, just reading the ingredients alone, yes, they sound good. Of course, I want to see it, but I just need someone to take the step to say, let's order it.
For sure.
In order for
You need
me
somebody to push you a little bit.
Correct. I just need it to be pushed. I mean, because no one likes to waste money on food.
I'm not
But if it's
I'm
great,
not wasting this food that just thrown on the table just now.
but if it's
I'll
great,
tell you that much.
I'm going to eat it. But I would definitely.
Look, I'm the type that I come to a restaurant, I get something that I end up loving, and I'll get that every single time. This is the first time I'll come to District Distilling and have something different than the chicken biscuit. The chicken biscuit is amazing. The
That's
honey,
good?
it's amazing, but this is phenomenal. This is some delicious stuff right here. That's fantastic, man.
Very, very good.
This is exciting.
This is. And I love the radishes. Like, I love it's colorful. You know what I mean? And sometimes some
presentation,
dishes,
right?
correct. Presentations mean so much to me.
Well, look, we got these cocktails that Matt made us. I think now might be a good time to set.
It would. Cheers.
Cheers to this episode 10, Whiskey and Kicks. Ooh. Nice and boozy. Matt knows what I like. Nice and boozy. Yours is not. Yours
Mine
a little
is
different.
not as boozy.
Yours a little different, but
It's smooth nonetheless. Oh, and let me share with you guys. I'm a vodka girl.
We got you drinking gin up in here today.
Drinking gin today.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. It's
amazing.
smooth. It's subtle. It's not too strong. It's not too sweet. The liquor is definitely present, but not as boozy as Mr. Brocky over here.
Yeah, this is delicious, yo. This is fantastic. But I need to stay focused because we're here for the food blogger segment of episode 10.
right.
So you want to try something else?
Yeah. Any
Okay.
more questions? You got some more questions for me?
Well, we'll just.
You want to taste some
Yeah,
more?
yeah. So
All
tell
right.
people where you're from originally.
I'm from the nation's capital, born and raised in Southeast Washington. I love DC. DC is becoming more of a foodie town. I wish that we could be more of a foodie town, like your New York cities and your Chicago and such like that. But it's sad that we don't have a staple outside of
Food-wise.
Correct. We're only known for mumbo sauce, and it's just a sauce.
It's just a sauce.
Just a
You're
sauce.
right about that, aren't you?
You know, like we don't have something that we are actually known
Maryland
for.
has a crab.
Maryland has a crab. You know, you can go to, well, everyone does pizza style of something, deep dish, thin crust.
But DC though, while there's not a staple food.
Right.
The establishments.
Some places and or some chefs just have a niche that they follow and or their diners love. You know what I mean? I find here in our community, shrimp and grits is a big thing. Definitely chicken wings of all flavors with mumbo sauce. And also chicken and waffles. Everyone loves chicken and waffles.
Brunch on Sunday, you're going to get a smorgasbord of
chicken and waffles. Yes. Red velvet this, or chocolate chips that, or sweet potato. I mean, you can get it in different variations, but as far as the DC food scene, we do not specialize in something. Like, what could we actually specialize in?
But we have Ben Chili Bowl.
We do.
We have Florida Avenue Grill.
Correct. We have MLK Deli that is in Southeast Washington. You're absolutely correct.
You know what I mean?
And that's unfortunate that,
Horse and Dickies over in Northeast.
Correct. And we just have those small little staples, but, places like this really entice me more than, that's bringing me out of my comfort zone. You know what I mean? Sure. I would love to try everyone, but I can't. I would be a fat girl for real.
I want to see what you think about what are these poached eggs on it? What is this?
Yeah, so we have the ham biscuit. Ham
so
Benedict with the country biscuit.
But it's on a biscuit.
On a biscuit versus
I don't eat these. So is that usually served on an English muffin?
It's normally served on an English muffin. And this is something that is also becoming more of a variety. Like, people are straying away from your traditional egg Benedicts. Like, you may do like a Florentine Benedict and or Chesapeake Benedict that will have crab on it. And some people are getting fancy with chicken biscuit.
Okay, and here is the ham Benedict that we have. And what it is, it's not a traditional English muffin Benedict. It's a butter biscuit Benedict, which also represents like traveling through the South. My wife's from Alabama, so we travel down through Tennessee and Alabama and Georgia and things like that. And so the ham that we use is from Alan Benton, who's in Madisonville, Tennessee. And the hollandaise that we put on top of the poached eggs has green hatch chili in it. And what that represents is a road trip that we took all the way to the Grand Canyon and back, and we stopped through Hatch, New Mexico. And the chilies were just phenomenal, so we decided to add that to it. So it's kind of like how it came together. It's just different parts of the world.
I love the hollandaise sauce. It's very, very good. Like, this is something that I can eat without it. You know what I mean? Like, that sauce alone.
That sauce. Just take a swig of it every now and then. Like, I'm going to do that that creme de menthe I'm about to buy.
Scoop it up right here with the potato.
There you go. Just sop it up in there. So, look, man, what you wearing on your feet these days? Now, this is whiskey and kicks. I want to talk about some shoes, too.
He's so not right.
That's right. We're talking about some shoes.
And I didn't, we
don't have to show what you have on right now, but you're big into Converse.
I am. I'm a Converse girl. I have on some red Chuck Taylors today.
That's right.
Match my red lip.
You see what just happened just now? What she's saying is that she matched her sneakers with her lipstick. That's what she's saying right now, people.
I did.
You see the levels of this thing?
Just little things, small
details. And it matches that
details.
bracelet on your wrist, too.
Hey.
Whiskey and Kicks.
Whiskey and Kicks.
But go ahead.
Make sure you go follow.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Right. And Fat Girl in Emotion, for sure.
Hey. But I'm over the hill ordeal, only for special occasions, but you can dress up a sneaker and you can dress down a sneaker. So today I decided to do, a combination of both. Right. And it was only appropriate.
It worked. You know all about it.
Kids, you know what I mean? So I had to put my little Fat Girl in Motion twang on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Put them flats on flat. Hey, look.
Another day.
I like a woman that's on flats. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you.
Okay.
Heels are cool and everything, but I prefer flats.
Okay. I mean, they're just for show and being cutesy.
Something about the way flats make a woman walk.
Oh.
But anyway, what you gonna eat next, yo?
Let's dig into this pasta.
Let's do that. Well, I'm not gonna have any of that. Well, I'm gonna keep this deviled egg close.
You do that. You do exactly.
This is incredible.
Beautiful.
And then lastly is the ramp pappardelle. So we take the ramps and blanch them and then puree them into the eggs that we fold into the pasta. And then we add more ramps and some morel mushrooms, some peas, a little mint, and what we put on top is a little amaretti cookie. and the sweetness of that kind of helps balance all like the really like pungent and sour spring vegetables. And then we put a little piece of burrata in there to make it a little less healthy.
This is very light, refreshing. It smells very good. Earthy tones are with it. I love the hint of spice behind it. Not strong at all. I like a little spice, so that was very good. Wasn't expecting it. I love the heat.
Very nice.
I love the crunch. And it's not too much crunch, like with the crumbled cookie that he described. And that's very good. And also, there are some, I'm assuming, sliced asparagus that are in here too.
Oh, okay.
Which brings the crunchiness with that, and the crunchiness from the peas that are very, very, and I love that heat element that is on the back end of it.
That's dope.
Very, very.
You
very
wouldn't
good.
expect that looking at this dish
No.
that it had any type of heat.
No,
element
not
to
at
it.
all. Not at all.
I've always and secretly wanted to be a chef.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Like if it was something, I love food. And I love the idea of, and it's similar to the whole bar industry and the craft cocktail industry, where
Correct.
certain things go together, they complement each other.
Correct.
Certain
Correct.
taste and things of that nature. So
Right.
you would mix things up that you would never think, to mix up.
And for instance, I'm a white wine drinker versus a red wine drinker. And they say that you should drink red wine with your steaks.
Steak, right.
Or, you should pair your white wines with your chicken and or your fish.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just don't have a liking for red at that moment, or that's just not my preference, I'm just not going to drink it. But who's to say that they don't mesh well because you say they don't mesh well?
Right.
Okay, they
Right.
just don't mesh well today.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
That's
I mean,
funny.
I don't know, but maybe these dishes did require wine, but we're drinking
That's like
some boozy stuff instead.
Yeah, that's damn right. Hell no. Everything requires. You're not gonna tell me that you're not gonna make broccoli. Wine is cool and everything. That's just not happening. Well, it's like
No, I
I
like.
tell my son, he's like, well, does this match? Because he's all in the fashion. right?
Yeah.
Does this match that? Does that match this? I said, look out the window. You see that? You see all those colors? I said, don't let nobody tell you what's supposed to happen. You understand what
That's
I'm saying?
so bad that we're still conforming to what society says about.
Forget about it.
Yeah,
yo.
exactly.
Get out of here with that.
Do you live life?
So yeah, I'm gonna have a deviled egg. I'm gonna have some trout toast,
Eat whatever you
and
like.
I'm gonna drink whiskey the whole time, and whatever Matt put in the thing. Sure. I know it's almost gone. Yo, I'm glad this happened. We finally made it happen. We've
We
been
did.
talking for a little while.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it because
Thank
it
you,
adds a
thank
whole
you.
different element, because the reality is that food and drink, they pair up.
Definitely pair together. I mean, you never want to be at a bar and you're just drinking and drinking and drinking, and then you don't have anything to consume the amount of liquor that you put in your body.
We know how that ends up.
And it's a bad situation, and no one wants that. I mean, I carry BC powder in my purse with me to avoid.
Right.
And BC powder is just like such an old school staple. People say, "Oh, it's so disgusting." Guess what? It's not. You're not there for the taste. It's doing the job.
For sure.
Getting rid of the hangover the next day. But you have to have the food segment. How else would you know if a restaurant is selling good food if you're only there for the drinks?
For sure. Speaking of that, how can people find your
Find me. I'm on Instagram, Fat Girl in Motion. That is N, not I-N. And I have my personal blog site, www.fatgirlinmotion.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter.
get t-shirts and all that?
I got t-shirts, everything. Listen, you want great food suggestions, where to dine, where not to dine. I'm not a fan of white napkins. I even blog about that too. And that's every time I go out, I say, "Damn, I'm going to bring a black napkin with me." I mean, and this is why
that's funny.
I don't like white napkins, because
That lipstick, huh?
lipstick, like you're on a date, or what if I had on all black? I have
Excuse me.
all of this white residue on
Yo,
me,
that's fantastic, yo.
Or like, who the hell is really carrying a freaking lint roller in their bag?
Right,
But
for
see,
sure.
most diners don't think that way. So if you come over to fatgirlinmotion.com, I got the deets for
She'll
you.
show you the way, yo.
I'm gonna let you know. I mean,
For
you have to
sure.
pay attention to the whole dining experience. I mean, how does your cook look? How does your staff look? How does the restaurant look? How do they bring out your food? Like, those things actually matter. And I just look for a great dining experience every time.
You gonna stick around for the? We're gonna do a tour of the distillery.
Absolutely,
with Matt.
absolutely.
Walk through there and check out. Have you ever done that before?
More booze? No, I haven't.
Let's do it. Let's go. All right, man. We're gonna walk through the distillery here, man.
Yeah.
Show me what you got, man.
All right, so right now, strangely enough, first thing you see is our barrel room. This is actually a really, really small portion of our barrels. Most of our barrels, because we are a distillery pub and we don't have a lot of space, most of our barrels I actually store off-site at other distilleries, usually friends of mine. I've got barrels in 3 different states.
Oh, word.
So, yeah, I've got some up in Wisconsin. I've got stuff in Kentucky, and I actually have some across town at a friend's distillery as well. So, but this is the room that people first see when they come in. We've got these 2 barrels behind me, and these are the ones that you can bottle your own whiskey out of. So kind of cool. But yeah, we'll take a step back through here, and I'll give you the quick rough and tumble tour of the place.
Let's do it.
So this first room, which takes up one whole bay of one of the old row houses that we occupy, this is what we call the beer room. And the reason we call it the beer room is, you know, beer is what we distill, turn into whiskey, and so everything kind of starts out like a lower alcohol version of itself. So brandy starts out as wine, and you know, rum starts out as fermented sugar, and you know, whiskey starts out as fermented beer. So we bring our grain in. We have this tank over here. This is our mash cooker. These tanks are all 900 gallons in size, so they're large. Yeah, no, we had to really work with the space. We had to work vertically rather than horizontally, so everything sort of goes up to the ceiling. And yeah, so we bring the grain in. We have to, me and my guys, we lug 50-pound bags up this flight of stairs and
pour it in.
Yeah, just pour it in by hand. So it was a project for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is a room where we spend a lot of our time. But then we'll go next door and we see all the pretty copper. That's what everybody wants to see.
Oh yeah,
right?
you know, and I was thinking that, like, I don't see any copper.
So we have, this is the guy that, this is sort of our workhorse still. And this guy's about 300 gallons. Notice I said those are 900-gallon tanks. That means to distill one of those tanks, I have to do 3 runs on this. But yeah, this is sort of a really nice setup. And if you look behind me, we have these 2 copper columns. Those actually extend up into the bar upstairs. So those are the columns that we use to make vodka on, and they do a really nice job of purifying the spirit and giving us a really nice vodka base. And it's really neat because you can come in some afternoons on happy hour and you'll see us making vodka. Yeah, from upstairs. You can watch the plates bubble away and everything get distilled. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. And that's the thing is we make so many different things, everything from vodka to whiskey, that we really had to build a system in place that we could do a little bit of everything on it. So that's hopefully what we've done. We're starting to see a lot of awards come in, so I think we've pulled it off. But yeah, well, knock on steel. So and then we have another still right here, and this is our little gin still. Yes. This is what all our gin is made off of. So we make our vodka on that guy over there. And then this guy's actually, I mean, this is about 1/10 of the size, really. Well, we usually do about 30-gallon batches on this thing. But we'll add our botanicals, let them steep in our vodka overnight in the kettle right here, and then come in the next morning, turn the heat on, and start distilling away, and we get gin. And let me see, I think there may actually be some. I don't know if my guys have.
Oh, buddy!
So this is freshly distilled gin.
I'm gonna say back.
It smells
look at it.
good.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
So that is I have to check the ABV on that, but that's probably about 70% alcohol.
That is beautiful.
It's strong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
The before.
Yeah, I imagine that is hopefully they've done their jobs. That's that's our checker bark gin.
Okay.
If they didn't do their job, somebody's in trouble. But yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, that was a treat.
Yeah.
It smells good.
Yeah. No, that's how we do it. I mean, so everybody kind of wonders how we package everything. And you kind of walk around and you see a bunch of cases of bottles and stuff like that lying around. Everything is packaged by hand on that tiny little stainless steel looking contraption right there. Everything is bottled on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you guys do like you guys have like volunteers come in to help? Just how many? What's your staff?
I have one full-time assistant and I think 3 part-time guys working for me. Yeah.
Ooh, that's incredible.
Yeah. And it used to be just me.
That's incredible.
It used to be just me.
You guys have 10 products that you're putting out.
Yeah. No, it keeps us busy. That's for sure.
Wow.
But yeah, we're a very hands-on operation, and we don't have the space for a bottling line, so we have to kind of make use with smaller things that we can put away off to the side to keep the space open. We do a lot of events and stuff in here as well, so the floor's got to maintain, a lot of open area. So.
A lot of respect, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of respect.
But yeah, no, we're pumping stuff out, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, we store our product in a bonded facility across town so that we can make a lot of room in here. But yeah, this is where everything is.
You have a rye out right now?
No, we
You don't have a
have a blended rye that
Okay.
we've done, and our rye whiskey won't probably come out for another year or two. It's showing really well in the barrel, but it's still too young. So
Sure.
yeah.
I like the wall back here too.
Yeah, we did a whole thing. We did a whole mural, and yeah, loosely based off of some drawings I gave them. So yeah, it's kind of nice if the tour guides if they've had a few too many, they have something they can point to.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, man, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Man. This has been great.
Oh, thank you.
I'm blown away. I mean, I already love you guys, and I love you guys even more now.
Well, I appreciate that.
Man,
I appreciate that,
everything
man.
you do. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
out, and you can get home and get some rest, man.
Yes, I'm gonna go home and get some steak. Yeah.
Whiskey and Cakes, man. Episode 10. We wrapped up now. Boom.